little bit of colour. She's tried clips and she liked it, but now she wants something a little bit more bold, shall we say, but without going way over the top. So, in a wee chat that we've had...
The world of hairdressing. What has it got to offer? What's it like to work in? Glamorous, exciting, creative, or simply long hours and hard work? To find out, we've talked to hairdressers ranging from first-year trainees to leading stylists, the people who know, the people who work in the industry now.
As far as I'm concerned, yes, I wouldn't swap it for the world.
It just really gives me a kick. I enjoy coming to work. I really do enjoy it.
I love meeting people. I love creating. I love travelling. I just love everything about hairdressing. Full stop. Gosh, it's grown, isn't it?
Hazel Altai operates 2 high street salons. Always strongly competitive, she achieved every hairdresser's dream when she won the L'Oreal Colour Trophy in 1986. We asked her what it felt like to reach the #1 slot.
Yeah, it feels fabulous. It's the most exciting feeling that I could imagine ever happening to anyone. It was for me because I really, really desperately wanted to win the Colour Trophy. I mean, I personally just looked at this trophy and I thought, I've done it, you know, I've done it, I've got there. This is it. This is it, I've done it. And it felt beautiful. It was a dream come true for me, yes.
Red colour and then alternatively...
We'll come back to the competition side of hairdressing later in the programme. But how do you get in the first place? How do you find out if it's for you?
When I was looking to go into hairdressing, I found the careers office very helpful. I was only out of school about a week and I started on the Monday. I've got a lot out of the YTS. I've done a lot of courses at college and I've passed them all, and I feel that it's definitely worthwhile doing.
Moving slowly down, round to the sides, into the nape, keeping the pressure firm and even all the time. Straight up the back, over the crown, and then back to the front.
A popular way to find out what it's like to work in a salon is to get a Saturday job. But another option is to do a work experience session from school or college, as Melanie Gross did.
And you had to do a work experience like for careers and all that, like see if you were confident enough to get yourself a job. So I had to phone around and all that, and I didn't think they'd take me on here because it's quite a well-known hairdressers. And I phoned, they gave me an interview and I started.
A course in hairdressing at a full-time college was the route chosen by Vicky Carr after a careers talk at school.
When I had a careers talk at school in the 5th year, I was told about this college, and then I realised what I had to work for.
So that should Michelle wish to wear her hair slightly asymmetric, she could do so.
Yeah.
Okay?
So by over-directing on the fringe, you're leaving quite a lot of weight there, yeah?
Exactly, yes. Have it slightly
Training is a vital element in most careers, but in no career is it more important than hairdressing. John Spond is at an advanced stage in his training, which he began as a trainee under the YTS scheme. He has strong views on the need for proper training.
Well, training is extremely important. I mean, it's in the early years you don't get paid a lot of money, and the training is all that you're there for. You're there to obviously to help the salon run. It couldn't run without the juniors, but you're also there to, you've got to be a bit selfish and think about your own, your own training, what you can take. Because if you give a lot, then you can take a lot.
John has found what he wants in Hazel Altai's high street salon. Hazel believes that every salon should offer good training, but she expects her trainees to be equally committed.
Well, I think training is very important for all my employees or trainees, if you like. They have to stay back Monday evenings, out of working hours. They have to be prepared to be trained. We all give our time free to the trainees. So yes, they do. I also have videos to train them. And I also believe that you don't necessarily have to train the kids just on one particular night. I tend to train them throughout the day, explaining what we're doing, come colouring, perming, cutting, and also, importantly, how to deal with the clients, what to say, what not to say. So yes, and I feel that if they're not prepared to spend time training with us on our training sessions, or being Monday nights, Tuesday nights, whatever, then I feel, well, they're not for me.
In the meanwhile, what else do we need on this lady? Towels and gowns. I think there's towels there, so we could put towels and gowns around the lady. Do cover the dress up beautifully, because we don't want any...
During these early training years in a salon, earnings are low, and we asked David Jones, technical field manager with L'Oreal, to put the whole thing in perspective.
Okay, I suppose really you've got to look at it from a business point of view. To be productive inside a salon, you've got to be able to run a column. That is to say, you've got to look after a client in all her or his needs from the moment they step into the salon to the moment they leave. To do that, you've got to acquire an awful lot of skill. And there is no way of acquiring skill without an awful lot of training. Now, during the course of that training, which takes 2, 3, 4 years to really acquire those sort of skills, it's true that your wages on the whole will not be tremendous. In fact, they'll be pretty ordinary. And I would always say to anybody coming into hairdressing, you've got to walk in understanding that the pay that you're getting is only really taken half in money and half in training. And it's the half that they take out of it in training which will actually make their fortunes for them.
We've got just a softer look at the top. Yeah. Okay, so we're incorporating a slightly blondie colour. So I've just used the blonde colour here. So if you'd like to take over now, we'll do the red colour and then alternately with the blonde. Okay?
Overall responsibility for training the young people in this large in-store salon lies with Melanie Waite. As the salon trainer, she spends 1 day a week on concentrated training programs and the remainder of her time as a stylist. Melanie began her hairdressing career with a 3-year full-time course at Chichester College, leading to City and Guilds in hairdressing and beauty therapy. While she was on the course, she won the UK Hairdressing Student of the Year award in 1987, beating 12,000 other students in the process.
Well, after I won the award, I had some newspapers get in contact with me and the radio get in contact with me. And I also went down to TV studios and did a spot there as well. And I got quite a lot of advertising through it. And I won loads and loads of lovely presents as well through the award. So yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
So, a full-time college course worked well for Melanie. And Chichester is just one of 300 such colleges throughout the country. Colleges like the London College of Fashion, where the head of the hairdressing and beauty department is Sheila Craig. Some colleges require entry qualifications and others don't. She tells us what they have to offer.
The full-time hairdressing course is 2 years full-time, and our entry requirements are 4 GCSEs, but they do vary from college to college, and it's best really if you apply to your local college to find out what their particular requirements are. The subjects that we actually cover on our courses are hair-related sciences such as biology and chemistry, which is important so that you understand when you use a chemical product why you are doing it and how to correct any mistakes that actually do happen. We also cover ladies' hairdressing, men's hairdressing, makeup, manicure, wig making, concentrating on styling and cutting, permanent waving and colouring. But we also include business studies and communications, and of course design.
Changes are in the wind. The Training Commission and the Hairdressing Training Board have produced what they have termed a nationally preferred training scheme in hairdressing. This is a standard framework under which all trainee hairdressers will seek to achieve a minimum level of competence in 41 activities, broken down into modules with optional extras in Afro-Caribbean subjects. This will lead to a foundation certificate issued by City and Guilds of London and the Hairdressing Training Board, and further qualification stages are currently being developed.
Another gel, please. Let's some gel, just to make it look alive. It's quite well, you've done that well. You're improving. Do you feel that you're improving?
Hazel Altai founded her successful hairdressing career on an intensive course at a private hairdressing school, as did Bella Cockter-Gorand, who has worked as a wig mistress on several major theatre productions in London's West End. Obviously, the opportunities to work in theatre and television are limited, but skills in wig making and styling can also be applied elsewhere, for example, the National Health Service. Private school was the quickest way for Bella to achieve her goal, but one she had to pay for. We asked her about her job. Is it all bright lights and glitter?
The opening night is very exciting. You've spent maybe 3 weeks getting the wigs together. Everyone's been rehearsing. You have sound checks, you have dress rehearsals, and all the excitement's building up, and suddenly it's first night and everyone's very, very nervous. And the general atmosphere is sort of high drama, really, and it's great fun. It is a great responsibility. For that reason, your job is everything. If you're sick, you still come into work. It's very, very difficult to ever take a day off. It's very difficult to take a holiday.
Obviously a good deal of commitment if you want to be a success in that area of hairdressing, virtually living for the job. We asked David Jones how typical this is of hairdressing generally. Is it really that different to any other job in terms of commitment?
I think before you go into hairdressing, you've got to perhaps answer a couple of questions for yourself and be very, very honest, because it's certainly not a job to be in if you don't like it. It's not one of those jobs you can fill in between 9 and 5 and then go home and live your full life outside work. You've really got to want to be a hairdresser to get the most out of it.
We talked with the young trainees to find out just what they were getting out of it. How is it working out for them up to now?
It is very exciting. It's a lot of hard work, but you don't mind the hard work because you can actually see the results at the end of the day. Like, you work so hard, and like when we have our model nights, for example, you can actually see what you've been learning. You put it actually into practice.
It's really interesting. I mean, it's different every single day, but you wouldn't expect it to be as hard work as it is.
I think it's interesting. Although it's hard work in the early training stages, I think it's worth it because at the end of it, you're going to be a qualified hairdresser.
Every head that you work on is different, and you can approach that head in a different way. You can stand in a college and people can teach you and teach you and teach you, but in the end it all boils down to how good you are, how you express your abilities.
I didn't think there would be so much involved. You just think, oh, it's a case of go ahead and cut. Once you've learned one thing, that's it, but it's not. There's a lot of work involved. I don't think anybody realises until they actually do it how much there is.
But in the early years, obviously, you've got a lot of long hours, and it's not a lot of good. The money's not very good, but it builds your professionalism so that by the time you reach, when you come into my stage in my training, where you've nearly completed your training, you behave automatically. You walk through the salon door. You are the professional that you've been trained to be, and you can carry yourself. You don't bring moods into the salon, obviously. You present yourself very well.
A range of views from young people at various stages in their training. But now to the future. What is it likely to hold? What are the career prospects in hairdressing today?
Because if they work hard, there is an awful lot of money and careers to be made in hairdressing. Sadly, a lot of hairdressers, when they come in, keep their horizons a little bit low and their sights a bit too low, and they don't really follow it through with all the buzz that they should be able to. If they did, then they would be making very, very good careers for themselves. And you've only got to look around, not just the West End of London, but most of the major towns and cities in this country, to see hairdressers who've really gone through, taken those skills, put a business background behind them, and turned themselves into some very, very good business people and very, very artistic hairdressers as well, and made a lot of bread on the way through.
Good career prospects then for the young person wanting to remain a hairdresser. But what about opportunities in related fields, such as manufacturing, management and teaching?
There is a legion of opportunities where you could go to in hairdressing, one of which is inside the manufacturing side of it. And there you can become trainers with large manufacturing organisations. We also, as I say, have field technicians, and they travel around. And more, as hairdressing gets more artistically and technically interesting, there seems to be a developing need for these type of people who, first of all, are superb hairdressers, but then, over the top of that, are prepared to learn a whole set of new skills and take them round to the salons in the street, or indeed at a technical centre in London or the provinces. Looking very nice in the mirror. Remember, we use 2 colours blended through.
The bigger salons, employing a lot of hairdressers and catering for a large number of clients, need a sophisticated management system, so careers in management are another avenue to consider. Andrea Wallace, a salon manageress with a large hairdressing chain, tells us what this involves.
My job as a manager is to have total control over my salon. Obviously, the job entails day-to-day running of the salon. It involves recruiting staff, motivating the existing staff that I have, always to make sure that they're really interested in their job. If they have any problems or anything, they can come to me and ask me.
And of course there are careers in teaching hairdressing, around those 300 colleges we mentioned earlier. Sheila Craig describes her own experience.
I have been teaching in various colleges over the last 20 years, and during that time I've had to move into several colleges in order to gain promotion. And at the moment I'm the head of department at the London College of Fashion, and I think it's the best job in hairdressing today.
Those are some thoughts for the future if hairdressing is your aim. And of course, there are opportunities to work abroad, in hotels and on cruises. But now back to the present. If you decide you want hairdressing for a career, will hairdressing decide it wants you? What will the salons be looking for? We put the question to Andrea Wallace.
They have to look good, they have to be very smart. In our job, obviously their makeup has to look good, their hair has to look good, and their clothes have to look good. Once talking to the staff, I would obviously look for somebody that was sort of self-motivating, somebody that was quite creative, somebody that had a good attitude towards the work, somebody that was really keen on being a hairdresser. It's a very demanding job.
I tend to take on my apprentices who perhaps have done a couple of Saturday jobs, and certainly the ones that I have here now who are doing Saturday jobs would eventually end up as an apprentice in one of the branches. But yes, it does help because it gives them an insight into how the salon actually works and what is required of them.
At the beginning of the programme, we heard about the joys of winning a major competition. Sheila Craig encourages her students to go for competitions at every opportunity.
I've always been interested in competition work because in actual fact it's one of the areas of hairdressing where you can develop your own skills and at the same time have them assessed by other hairdressers. And competitions take place at a local, national and international level. But of course one of the greatest competitions of all is the L'Oreal Colour Trophy, which is the largest competition in the world. And I was fortunate enough to actually win that competition. And looking back, it was the cornerstone of my hairdressing career, and it really established me as a hairdresser.
Hairdressing is clearly a competitive business, and the L'Oreal Trophy is a much sought-after prize. But just how good do you have to be to win? What do you have to beat?
We run heats every year all across the length and breadth of the United Kingdom, but at the end of those heats every year we come to London, to the Albert Hall, which is perhaps one of the nicest venues in the world, I would think, for this type of show. And we get 7,000 hairdressers who come all the way into town from all over the British Isles to support. We also have 150 hairdressers who bring a model, and they've won or been in the top 10 of their regional heat, and they bring them down onto the floor of the Albert Hall and compete with each other to produce a head which is startling, fashionable, exciting, interesting, and the clothes and the ensemble to match.
Just because she's won Britain's top prize, Hazel Altai hasn't stopped competing. We talked to her immediately on her return from the United States, glowing with success.
New York. My latest trophy is from New York. I won 2 trophies. I spent a week there. I worked extremely hard for the first 3 days, and the end result was my trophy.